Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Boomer Live once again. As we are here to talk about the India versus Bangladesh game, India have lost to Bangladesh by a close margin, you would say. So India lost by a margin of close to 5 runs. At the end of the day, it- at the end of the day, you can say that it was maybe dead rubber or whatever. But yeah, Bangladesh get their first victory against India since Asia Cup 2012, Sachin had scored his 100th 100 and India had lost that game. So that was the last time India had lost to Bangladesh in the Asia Cup. But here it is, Bangladesh finally get a victory against India. They have come very close in major tournaments to get a victory against India, and India always scraped through. Even today, Akshar Patel almost pulled it through for India, playing that valiant effort of 42 odd. But here it is, India are going to be slightly happy with few things and very disappointed with a lot of other things as well. But at the end of the day, they did make five changes going into this game. Bangladesh, especially it's Tasnim Shakib making a debut against India, who had played the Under 19 World Cup and who was part of the Under 19 winning squad of the Bangladesh team, who had picked up Tilak Verma in that final, and he also picked up Tilak Verma once again in senior team debut.
Yeah.
So very interesting stat that. But yeah, Jen, what did you make of today's game? It was more like a dead rubber in itself.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bangladesh team were more interested in winning this match because they had a point to prove to their fan base, I suppose. I mean, if they had gone back without any points in the top four, it would have been an embarrassment for them. But India just did not seem like they were really looking on point. Their intensity levels were low. You just felt like they just felt like if not you as a fan, they knew it was a dead rubber and they were not very much interested, at least in the starting of it. You felt a lot of mistakes that they made due to the lack of intensity. Fielding was very much lackluster. Bowling as well, in many places, you felt like there was a bit of lack of effort. And then it translated, it obviously translated into Bangladesh, doing well because at the end of the day in sport, the team that wants to win more does end up winning, and that's just how things are, and that's how things will always be. And today just felt like India was not at all interested in winning as such. It was more like an outing for them, like in the evening you go out to play with your friends. Seemed
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it just looked like that either way. Because firstly, for India, you have to talk about this being a normal game. You certainly do not have to talk about much in this. India did make five changes. India did bring in Tilak Verma, who was not even part of the World Cup squad. Prasidh Krishna, Mohammad Shami had a decent outing, you can say so. Then obviously India also brought in Surya Kumar Yadav. Once again, couldn't do much. And then of course, putting Tilak Verma at number three was an interesting point, and Shubman Gill scoring another 100. So these are certain things in which India wanted to really see, and India will be fairly happy, but India would have been more happy if Akshar Patel would have pulled it on. But yeah, talking about which, I thought India's fielding was pretty below par today. I mean, as you mentioned, India was disinterested, but certain things you could have done better, especially Tilak dropping a dolly right there, in mid on. Aisha, you're laughing. Your team is back in Pakistan right now. At least they're in the tournament. So yeah, either way. So yeah,
Be
that's how
happy
it
that
was.
you're happy.
Yeah,
It's nice that we brought some a smile on your back on your face.
yeah, pretty interesting. So yeah, I'm happy that you are able to find happiness through some things,
Yeah.
and we are glad that we are one of the outlets for your happiness. But we're not gonna sit here and say you played a second string team. We were just not interested in winning. That's how it was. And it's okay to lose a game once in a while. At least it's a reality check right before the final.
Yeah, I mean, you would have to say, Abel, that in many ways, India did a lot of things right, right? They made five changes. Yeah, Rohit Sharma won the toss, elected to field first because he wanted to, give a taste to his team on how it would be to chase in Sri Lanka, which they could end up doing tomorrow as well. India has been lucky, you would have to say, that they've always come out on the right side of the toss, even if they've lost the toss due to the genius decision of one of the captains out there. India has always gotten the right. India never really chased in these conditions. So, in many ways, the criticism that we had of India, where we felt like India is not trying to take those risks, India took a risk today in a game which really didn't matter. So, in that sense, I was really happy with Rohit Sharma's captaincy. I also love the fact that he gave Tilak Verma a few overs to ball because I mean even though India already had two spinners, getting in a Tilak Verma, he could be an asset for you in the future as well.
Yeah,
So these are few things that I really liked from the Indian management. Giving a chance to Surya once again, I think for me now it has to be the final opportunity he gets before the World Cup because I think even in the Australia series, I really don't expect anyone else to get a chance. Even if India takes an early unassailable lead, I think India will now want to play with their whole squad throughout till the end of the World Cup. So that's
Mm.
probably how it's going to be. But yeah, overall, at least from that perspective, able I'm glad the way things went for us, because India, we were able to take those few risks, tick those few check boxes which we are not able to so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, certain things you have to do, and I really wanted to see how Shami goes about it because there could be a day when you want to play Shami and Siraj, you just want to switch between them. What happened? Abel को पता है मत मैं call पर आई थी Kapil Verma. Yeah, Aisha is a girl. That's true. Kapil. I so they had come. She had come on our live. Yeah, she had come on our live once.
Yeah. She
At her
tried
personal
to,
live.
and she stayed there for
She
two
tried.
seconds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that is one thing. I mean, we are going to be taking fans on our live as well once again. Let's see. Hopefully, coming back to topic, tell me about the great fielding of our team. Yeah, we were talking about that. We were talking about the fielding. I really thought it was very below par. It was
Yeah.
extremely below par to start off with. I was pretty disappointed the way in which they were fielding. And to add to the fact that how we were not showing any intensity. I mean, I can understand. See, it's not a big game. At the end of the day, we were just there for as an exhibition game or a friendly game. It was really you don't want to put a lot of intensity as well. A lot of these players were like, okay, we're going to be playing in 2 days time. But I really enjoyed the fight which India showed today. To be very fair, that was one of the hardest pitch against a top quality spin attack, and you really took the game that close. So that's where I give a lot of credit to India's fight, especially Shubman Gill. You have to say that was one of the best knocks we've seen in this entire Asia Cup. Right out of that, given the conditions, he really fought in hard. If he would have stayed till the end, he would have possibly won the game for us.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of equate it to the innings that Velalage played against us. Remember in a chase where he also scored in 40 odd runs. But yeah, I think to come in that point in time, he also did struggle a little bit when Shubman was batting that
Yep.
flawlessly. He tried to play a few shots which he couldn't connect, but then I think once the Pacers came on, especially, he was able to get a little bit more pace on the ball, and he went after the right deliveries. And I mean, when he was dismissed, I think he had to go after the bowling. You don't want to keep too many runs towards the end, and he did the job that we needed him to do. And I mean, it can happen, in these kind of days. Finishing is never going to be 100% thing. It's no one's going to be 100% clinical when it comes to finishing. And Akshay Patel
Uh-huh.
has not played for India in a long time now in that place. I mean, he's long time as in for quite a few matches. So he knows he's not a preferred playing 11. Today also when he was bowling, you just felt like he was. I mean, it could also be just because of lack of intensity, but it felt like it was a bit rusty today. So in many ways, because I think the match that he played against, I think he was in the Sri Lanka match as well, and I mean he did a better job there. But yeah, just having said that, I think today just felt like he did not ball the right line and length. Being the second spinner, that today was one of these opportunities where he could have really taken things in his own hand as a bowler. But as a batter, he's shown that he's come leaps and bounds as a batter. He's become a lot more mature. He's been able to play this kind of innings, and I almost thought that he is going to pull things off, but unfortunately for us,
Yeah,
that
it's
wasn't
a
the
very
case.
interesting conundrum for India now because Akshar Patel, the bowler, is not showing any good signs, and I mean, I've been very frustrated as with Akshar Patel, the bowler, but as a batter, he's really doing a better job than even Jadeja at this point. I'm very disappointed at one player in this tournament, that's Ravindra Jadeja, on the other end of
Hmm.
spectrum. He's not been really batting like a batter. He's been throwing away his wicket way too cheaply because you know the
Agree.
quality this guy has. He won an IPL single-handedly in the 4 or 5 months ago, and he's got something about him
I wouldn't
which
say
kills them.
single-handedly, but he did
I
win
mean,
them.
so
In the
single-handedly.
clutch moment, he came in.
That was Jadeja's single-handed effort in the final. To be very honest, 10 runs
Come
of 2 balls.
on.
You tell me how many players would have taken it.
But yeah, I
So
mean,
let's be honest.
when you say single-handedly, you're saying that he's the only one who performed in that batting lineup.
I
It
mean,
was a
I'm
very
talking about that
collective
final.
performance.
It was Ravindra Jadeja's sheer brilliance which
Yeah,
won
it
it.
was a
Let's take
clutch
any other player
moment.
on that
It was a
field.
very clutch moment thing, but he
Yeah,
batted
it
like a
was a
batter.
clutch
That's
moment.
one
And
point I'll
I'm
give.
just not talking about that moment. Jadeja has done it multiple times in multiple
Absolutely,
days,
absolutely.
multiple formats. He's done it. So for him to perform like this, scoring those 7, 10s, and 15s, that's not what we expect out of our number seven. And that's where I think Jadeja really needs to up his game with the bat. And for India to really do it in the World Cup, you need Jadeja contributing with the ball and the bat, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think even where was the other time when he had come on to bat and he failed recently? Right now, I think was it the Sri Lanka match itself? Yeah, I think it was the Sri Lanka match itself. But there he got a snorter. But even then, I agree with you. He's just not looked like a player who can hold the bat. He's looked more like a player who has the same pedigree as Shardul Thakur with the bat. And today, you would have
Yeah.
to say that Shardul Thakur did a better job than Jadeja, because the shot he played was. a shot that you expect Bumrah or the Siraj to play and get out, completely lost his shape. Was the ball wasn't even there to be playing that shot. It was just an absolute nothing shot. And today you really thought Jadeja could be the man because Shubman Gill was doing a great job, and all he had to do and everything that he was doing till that point in time, I think it was seven
Yeah.
of seven, if I'm not wrong, before he went for that big swing. He was doing everything right. He was taking those singles, giving strike to Shubman, who was scoring those runs, who was able to get those boundary balls. So all he had to do was settle in. Exactly what Akshar Patel did. I mean, it was 7 of 11. So for him to go after the bowling when Mustafizur was brought in specifically to pick a wicket, it was just an absolute big, it was a big mistake. And I think in many ways it would have costed us a lot more if Kuldeep Yadav was playing today instead of an Akshar Patel. And it was the same scenario where he probably would have been the last batter, or Shardul Thakur would have been the last batter to come in. It would have really cost us. Luckily for us, because we had those 5 changes, we had an Akshar Patel in the middle as a buffer. But imagine if he was not there today. Then Jadeja playing that shot would have been even more reckless. Also, maybe that's the reason why he ended up playing that shot, thinking there's an Akshar Patel to come. But regardless, yeah, it was a very bad shot played by a senior player today.
Yeah, to be very honest, Akshar Patel has played better international batting knocks than Jadeja in the recent past, and
Hmm.
that's quite there for everybody to see. And for me, that's what disappoints me. If at all you want to play Akshar Patel as well, I really would want him to improve his bowling. So it's like two ends now. One where Jadeja is really bowling okay, pretty decently well, and Jadeja is not batting well. Akshar Patel is not bowling that well, but batting well. So it's the thing which India will have a headache upon, and I hope that gets sorted. I still believe in Jadeja's quality because I'm a firm believer that when it matters the most, Jadeja will step up, and he's got something about him. To be honest, it's still early days for him, and I wouldn't really matter if Jadeja can step up in that final against Sri Lanka when it matters the most. That'll be enough. That's going to give them a lot of confidence. And Jadeja has been such a cricketer as well. He's always stepped up in big moments for Team India, and I expect him to step up. Let it be Champions Trophy final in 2013, or let it be in the World Cup semi-final in 2019. He's always stepped up in these big moments, and that's why I believe that he can still step up. Our team wasn't able to get them all out, even though they got us all out. Also, their 8 and 9 scored 43 runs together, whereas our 8 and 9 scored more. I think our 8 scored 45 runs, so that 842 runs, and 9 scored 11 runs, so that's 53 runs. So that's not a bad thing. But yeah, their 8 and 9, we let loose of them towards the late end. I thought Shami and Prasid was not so great in terms of leaking those runs towards the latter end. And I'll also come back to we leaking those runs to Tasneem as well. 14 runs is what he scored. We could have possibly curtailed these runs. This wouldn't have come to haunt us. So these are small things which we really need to look into as we go ahead. But remember, we did not even play Bumrah or Siraj on the other end of side. So it's okay. I mean, Prasid, I still doubt his credentials as a death bowler. He did a decent job today, but not quite. You're on mute, Jiren.
Yeah, thank you, Abel. He's not a death bowler at all. I think he's always been a bowler who probably you should finish off by the middle overs because he balls at length really well, that back of the length. He gets the ball to zip from that length. But the moment you ask him to ball Yorkers or, mix up the balls, he tends to be a little bit too predictable. Today also, I mean, you're just speaking about the runs that he gave to Tanzim, and you almost realize that I think what Indian ballers ended up doing is not really ball to him like he's a tail ender, right? I think the six that he hit to Shardul Thakur was a short delivery outside off, and then all he had to do was throw his bat at it. The one that he Prasid Krishna ball, the one that he hit for a boundary, was a half volley again. Something that again he had to throw his bat at it. So very ordinary deliveries. Now I understand that you expected him to be a tail ender and not really play that well, but surprisingly enough, you're not really trying to, again, the lack of intensity is what I felt. You just felt like they've lost 8 wickets, they've lost 7 wickets, they're not going to get away now. Big mistakes. You can't be making these kind of mistakes. I just don't understand.
Absolutely. India should have really. India should try to bring in Shreyas at least to see his fitness for the final. I agree with you. I'm seeing good signs that Shreyas is improving. But if he
Yeah.
doesn't improve, that's where India will have a lot of questions to ask because then who do you really bring in? I mean, can you bring in Sanju Samson or not? I mean, this was Asia Cup, or at least today's game, if he was fit enough, was a good opportunity for him to really see a hit out. You would have possibly seen him play ahead of Tilak Verma at number 3. and you would have seen
Yeah.
how we'd have gone about it. I mean, it would have been nice to see how we'd have gone, but unfortunately, he's not yet fit. So that's not good news. I don't expect him to be fit for the final as well. I would really love to see him in the final. Maybe just see for one innings at least how he goes about in the Asia Cup, because he just played that 14-run knock against Pakistan. And before the World Cup, in a big tournament like this, you would want to see Shreyas Iyer go about a little bit as well. And he's a terrific player of spin. Let's be honest about it. If you really want to counter someone, counter spinners like Vedalage or Asalanka for the matter, I think Shreyas Iyer is your go-to man. I think him at number 5 will really suit to take on the spinners in these kind of conditions. And I really felt we missed him today. I would have played him ahead of Tilak Verma if he was fit today. Uh,
Yeah.
After yesterday and today's match, the momentum will be more with Sri Lanka and less with India. I don't think so. Momentum will be even India would have
No,
lost any bit
because
of momentum because India have not played their main team.
yeah, exactly. Same. I agree with you, Abel here. I mean, the whole intention of today's game was to just give the bench strength a try, and it was India's A point B team. If that's the best way to say it, because five of your main players probably in five of those. And if you look at today's game, I think India tried their best to give the opportunities to the new players who had come in, players who won't be in that final 11. So, for example, giving the overs to Tilak Verma or making someone like a Akshar Patel ball a lot more, or a Shardul, not a Shardul Thakur, but a Prasid Krishna and Mohammad Shami as well. So in many ways, India was just trying out their bench strength. If there is any momentum loss, it'll be only if the players who haven't played today kind of lose out on that streak that they've had. But aside from that, I really don't think there is an issue here.
Look at the flip side of things, right? You have a Shubman Gill who's batted really well, so he's in good form heading into that final. Or let it be even for that matter, talk about someone like Akshar Patel. If he plays that final, he's going to be in a good nick. So there are positives to look into it as well. Now, when you look at the larger scheme of things, so it's not a bad thing. Shardul Thakur picking up 3 wickets is a good positive for him. He comes in and picks up wickets. So these are small things you can look into just before the final. At least these guys have got some bit of game time. And Shubman Gill scoring runs is so important for us as a team. So India will win the final. मेरे को feel आ रहा है. I mean, India hopefully wins the final, but it's not going to be easy. Every time I join, Abel has a new hairstyle.
Yeah, he goes to a salon every week, guys.
I did not go to a salon at all, guys. Let's be very honest.
And no, and he loves the salon. Guys, he's friends with people at the salon. People at the salon know him as Evil Bhaiya, the man who
Salon,
provides
I
their
didn't realize
livelihood.
Saloni has a salon in their name, though. By the way,
See how his mind works. It's always
yeah,
salon,
so yeah,
24/7. Salon and cricket and football is what goes on in Abel's mind.
yeah. Either way. On the other hand, I was watching Honvik class. Even me too.
Oh
I was
yeah,
watching that 176 which he made. Oh, that was some crazy. It was the fastest ever 200 partnership by players. It
yeah.
came at a run rate of 14 runs per over. Crazy. Scored
Oof.
160 odd runs in last 9 overs.
And I
I
think
would
just as
say
we speak, Abel, South Africa have just completed a famous win, 164 runs. They have defeated Australia. Australia put up a fight, but they lost too many wickets. But yeah, just go ahead with Heinrich Klaassen
perfect win.
and
Perfect win.
yeah,
Perfect win for South Africa.
they made it
In point
2-2
situation.
now.
I mean, that's why I think
They've
South
made a
Africa is
comeback.
going to be very dangerous in the World Cup because of this 100 class and factor. Because we often write off South Africa saying, okay, they might not be able to play spin well, but I think Rassi Vanderdussen, Aiden Markham, if he steps up, and 100 class with David Miller, that middle order is scary, to be very fair.
Yeah.
And then if their ballers step up, at the right time, I don't think their ballers
I
are yet
think
to
that's the
come in.
worry for them. That's the major worry for them. Their bowling has been slightly lackluster. Today they did a very good job. I think they did a decent job in the third ODI as well. And it's good to see that South Africa made such a big comeback. But the major issue, Abel, is going to be their spinners, right? Another team that has not really had spinners come in and into play. Keshav Maharaj is a very good spinner. He's a high caliber spinner, but one day has really not been his friend. And if you look at this team that played today, for instance, look at where the wickets have come from. It's Lungi Ngidi, Kagiso Rabada who taken 7 wickets together, and then Marco Janssen's 1 wicket. Keshav Maharaj did take a wicket. He did ball decently, just 5 overs, 27 runs. But now the question is who supports Keshav Maharaj and whether Keshav Maharaj is going to be as effective as a Kuldeep Yadav is for India or Hasaranga might be for Sri Lanka. So that's the bigger issue for them this World Cup. Other than that, their batting is very well suited to India. They've all played in India. They know how to play in India. I don't think they'll have
Absolutely.
that issue at all. And their fast bowlers will do a decent job with the new ball and probably even in the death. So I'm really excited to see someone like Gerard Coetzee because he seems to be the kind of bowler, especially in the death with the slower balls. his Yorkers, who can really do a good job in the death in India. So what I really am worried about is the spinners. Aside from that, I think they look like a good team.
They look like a good team. So he asked who will bat first, bat second. I think the team winning the toss will bat first, regardless of the conditions.
Yeah,
Until and unless there's a lot of rain around, it's a curtail match or a truncated match of 20 odd overs. Other than that, I really don't see anybody not batting first. And I'd really like to see what pitch they use, because you saw three different surfaces. Today's game was played on the India versus Pakistan pitch, and you have a dry pitch. Yesterday's pitch was much more better to bat on, I felt. So if
yeah,
it's more like yesterday's pitch, I still think there will be thoughts of chasing, but I think India will bat first, regardless of what happened. And that's one of the reasons why India won the toss. India could have batted first today. India decided to put themselves under all sort of pressure. So India
yeah,
was testing themselves out. So it's very clear. Anything next of 260, you can never chase it down in this kind of pitch. And that's also because of the factors of turn coming into play. And Sri Lanka and Bangladesh had two excellent spinners, Mehdi and Shakib Al Hasan, who are test ballers, right? They have picked up majority of their wickets in test format, and that experience came into fore today as well. And Tasneem picking up wickets with a new ball as well. So it was a good show, which was put by Bangladesh, and it was a good test for India as well. But for me, I like to see India bat first, and maybe let's see. You never know. If India chases, India will have to be really wary of how they go about it. India will have to plan their chase. Of course, we'll have Virat Kohli into this batting lineup, and India would want to really take on a Lage, because you wouldn't want him to settle down. Because if you're going to let him settle down, it's
yeah.
gonna be a hard time. But then in these kind of pitches, how do you not let a spinner settle down? Because the ball is just turning from the center of the wicket, so it's really hard to go after a ball as well. What Shubman Gill did today was something of the highest caliber you'll see from a batter in this kind of a pitch. I don't think we'll get to see any better innings in this Asia Cup. I know Virat Kohli's 122, KL Rahul's 100, Babar's 151 against a mighty Nepalese team was all great, but I think this was one of the innings of the Asia Cup considering the
Yeah.
circumstances, and also the pitch which was an off. Shakib's knock also was very good, but the pitch had deteriorated. There was no dew. Bangladesh spinners were on top of India, and I felt he was very bad. Maybe he shouldn't have taken that risk at that point. He could have possibly waited till the 18th over to go after the bowler. He just went for a little low plenty, but then I think Shubman Gill once again proved why this has been his year. People keep writing him off after every failure he has, but he's been in some form.
I think he's made such a big standard for himself. I think he has an average of 70 odd this year in white ball format, in one day format, and obviously a career average of 65 plus. So he's been doing a great job, but it's become so, he's already so hyped up, and for the right reasons. Obviously, I don't think he's overhyped by any way whatsoever. He's genuinely the next big thing in Indian cricket, and the hype is real. But I think that hype also means that every failure, there will be people who will be, waiting to question you. There'll be people who will be waiting to question your choices and the reasons why your name comes up in the media. But that's something that every superstar before Shubman Gill had to deal with. Virat Kohli dealt with it for years. Sachin was a bit of a good boy, didn't really have to worry about it. But his name has also been dragged through a lot of controversies before. So it's something that will keep happening. Every time he'll fail, people will ask questions. But every time he succeeds like these, you just have to stand up and applaud him for what he is, because he's just been so good. And you saw today the kind of composure he had. I saw a lot of Virat Kohli in him today, Will, because he didn't score a lot of boundaries. When the ballers were on top of him, he was scoring doubles, singles, just rotating the strike. And I just believe if he had one partner who was ready to do the same with him, India would have won the match. But unfortunately for us, no one really stood by him, and everyone ended up playing one or the other fancy shots.
I agree with you, because I felt some of the wickets were very bad. Jadeja's one was very disappointing. Surya had no clue what he was doing. I mean, he played some
Oh,
sweep shots, but Surya looked very clueless for me. That's why I was very upset. Gift is India's future captain. I mean,
Gill,
yeah, he is
yes.
India's future captain for sure. Salon is his favorite, but the question is, am I his favorite too?
Oh, is she able? Is
I'm so
Saloni a
sorry,
favorite?
Saloni, but I have no favorites. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
He has a favorite, but he has only one spot,
Okay,
unfortunately.
yeah, that's a hint right there. So
You already
you
revealed it. It's not a big
yeah,
deal.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a hint. Yeah, so
yeah.
that's straight up classy knock. But Virat would have finished the game. That's the difference. Yeah,
I agree.
Virat
I
would have
agree.
possibly finished the game. Yeah, that's one
I think that's
factor.
also youth and experience, right? I mean, he ended up playing a shot that was that would have been a six, that wouldn't have been a six. But picking your moments in these kind of chases are so important. And I mean, Virat Kohli's got that experience, and that's the only reason why you see him doing it. Before, I mean, when he was a young cricketer, you didn't see Virat Kohli do it all the time. He contributed, but it was someone else who finished the game. So for him to have brought it this close, brilliant from him, and then he'll learn. I think probably 5 6 years down the line, you will see Shubman do the same things that Virat Kohli has done. Maybe in a different way, but probably the same stature for sure.
Absolutely, because I at least feel he was running out of batting partners, or else
Yeah,
maybe you would have seen him finish the game off. And remember, at that point of stage, they had to target their off spinner. That was one opportunity they had. He hit a six, and that if you know he scored one more six, this would have been a 31 of 17, 31 of 18 kind of a
yeah,
chase, which would have been still much more easier for India to chase it down. But at the end of the day, I don't think he'll be very much more. He won't be really disappointed. I think this was a good knock from him. Last match, he got a peach from Bilal Agay to really, dismiss him. And against
yeah,
Pakistan too, he was looking really good unless he was deceived by Shaheen. And against Nepal, he scored a 50. Except that first game of the Asia Cup, which he played against Pakistan, he's been in good nick for sure. So that's where it has been. In the first innings, in the last one, Indian bowlers gave too many boundaries. That also made the difference. Absolutely, I think
oh yeah,
we giving those 14 runs to Tasneem or making Nuzum play some. He making him look like some Jadeja or some prime Ben Stokes was absolutely unnecessary. And Mehdi, the other Mehdi Hassan Sheikh, who scored the crucial 15-20 runs. So that was the difference. I think that 8, 9, 10 scored a lot of runs, which really came to haunt us. Or else we should have restricted them to a 230, which is ideal on this wicket. Bangladesh played with their secondary string, but they won. I agree with you. Bangladesh did play with a lot of their
yeah.
players who were not part of it, but I thought that was a good team at the end of the day. They made a couple of
I
changes,
mean,
but
just I also felt like India were not in it to win it, and that's the only reason why we lost.
yeah,
Many places, you just know India just didn't seem too desperate to win, and that was sad for me to watch as a fan. It just felt like you're watching a dead rubber, and they just made you feel like it even more than me remembering it. Indian players kept reminding me that it's a dead rubber because every single time you're like, why would you do it? And then you're like, oh, maybe because it's a dead rubber. It just
yeah.
was a dead rubber.
Absolutely. I mean, for India at least, but for Bangladesh, there are some good things. I think we have to talk about Tasneem Saqib Sheikh.
Yeah.
What a player he is. He looks like the one for the future for them because he looks like he's got a lot of heart in him. I know it's his debut. People will still figure him out better, but then he really used the conditions to his best of effect. I mean, taking Rohit's wicket, after that, really bowling well to take Tilak's wicket. Again, I would say that ball is really good. You couldn't have really expected, and to bowl the last over, and he was bowling to Shami, but then he really showed a lot of composure, do everything on his debut.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at Rohit's wicket and then you look at Tilak's wicket. You look at the range of the deliveries. One was a slower delivery pitched outside off. It was a very brave delivery to ball to a Rohit Sharma who loves, playing that lofted shot over the covers. And
Yeah,
then to make the ball come back in, swing it back into Tilak Verma, just a beauty. It shows that he's got range and he's got heart as well. And it's good to see, I think Bangladesh silently are producing really good pacers. We
yeah.
saw Shariful Islam. I think he didn't play the match today, but he is looking really good as well. He's looking like a left armer for the future, and for him and Mustafizur to open the bowling together, I think that's a scary proposition for the future. I would say.
And just Tuscan
Yeah,
as well.
there's Tuscan as well. I mean, Rubel Hussain as well. I know he's
Ibadat.
seemed a bit off color. Off
Ibadat
color.
is a good one.
Ibadat. So they're looking really good. They're really starting to produce some pacers now. I think the only kind of bowler that is missing now is a leg spinner. I hope someone comes up soon
Yeah,
as
so
well.
there was an interesting talk from, I think, I forgot who was their commentator
I
from
think it was
Bangladesh.
Bazid and
No, no, that was not
Sam.
Basit. Basit is from Pakistan. So it was, I forgot the commentator from Shamimul. I think that was the commentator's name. I forgot. I'm really sorry. I forgot his name, the commentator. So I think the question was asked by Sanjay Bangar itself as to
Yeah, yeah,
why
yeah, yeah.
haven't Bangladesh really brought a leg spinner in the years, because they've got orthodox off spinners and left armers, but not a leg spinner. So they were like, there's a huge dearth of leg spinners. They
I
have
was
conducted
Adar Ali
camps. They've
Khan
conducted.
who asked this
There's
question.
literally nobody even in the first class level to call like a leg spinner, neither in the BPL, neither in the district level. So they've conducted various camps to find one. So that's one issue. They did speak about Shabir Rahman, but I always felt Shabir Rahman was a very mediocre leg spinner, but he was more like a batter as well. So he was,
Yeah. Sabir, to be very frank, I forgot the fact that Sabir Rahman used to ball leg spin. That's how mediocre he's been. If he, I mean, I think it's also. I think he made a very interesting point. I think it was Atar Ali Khan, if I'm not wrong, who was speaking, or was it
It was not Ali
Shamim
Khan. It was
Ashraf?
another commentator. It was some. It was a
Shamim
Shamim.
Ashraf.
Shamim
Shamim
Ashraf.
Ashraf, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
fair.
think it was Shamim Ashraf. But yeah, he said that it's also got to do with the fact that we've never it's more like, so it's like, before Shane Warne came up, right? Leg spinner was a dying art. No one really balled leg spinners in test matches, or no leg spinners at the top level, because it just seemed like leg spin is something that is in the first class level and then just disappears. But Shane Warne made it something that was huge. Anil Kumble probably is involved in it. Mutaya Muralidharan brought spin back. So in many ways, I think what Bangladesh needs is one breakthrough leg spinner to do well, and then the youngsters will just catch on. It becomes cooler. Like look at India, for instance, right? You're seeing this new crop of fast bowlers. I'm sure a lot of it has got to do with the fact that the fast bowlers were starting to just appear, and they were starting to look a lot cooler. Or the trend starts moving in
Yeah,
that direction. The cricketing culture starts moving in the
yeah.
direction. So I think that'll take some time for Bangladesh, and they're just building themselves as a cricketing nation. I mean, I think just recently they've become a not even a superpower, but at least a force to be reckoned with in Asia. Still have a long way to go. I'm sure a great leg spinner will come up, but it's still very good to see that fast bowlers of good quality are coming from Bangladesh. Fast bowlers are able to challenge the opposition batters.
Yeah, to be very fair, yes, that's one factor. And maybe most of them have looked up to Shakib Al Hasan, and that's why you see a lot of the left arm spinners coming in. And I'm also a big fan of Mehdi Hasan Miraj as well. I think he's got a lot of potential to be a strong all rounder, to take the
Yeah.
mantle from Shakib. He's already got an Asia Cup 100, remember that. And for him to really go ahead and maybe fulfill what Shakib has done, I know it's going to take a lot of time. He's a world class spinner, but I think he's someone who's got the potential to do it, isn't it?
I mean, I agree. And one thing he does now is he also opens the batting, so that just makes it that much more, him that much more potent. I still doubt his opening skills a little bit as a batter. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if he'll survive in places like Australia, or a place like South Africa, where the new ball can be a lot more potent, a lot more difficult to face. But even then, having a batter who balls is just such a boon, because I think a bowler who bats, it's obviously important, it's obviously helpful, but a batter who can ball is a lot more valuable to a white ball team than, or any team for that matter, in cricket. And for him to be able to do that, we've seen what Charit Asalanka does for Sri Lanka, for instance. If he can,
Mm.
and I think he's a lot more bonus than a Charit Asalanka, because his bowling is a lot more helpful, and his batting
Yeah.
is half decent as well. On his day, you would see him score 30 to 40 runs, which is fair enough. I mean, I don't think Bangladesh management expects more from him. So his performance on a day can really help them improve their winning chances.
Absolutely. That's one factor which I think Bangladesh will consider going ahead as to how do you use Mehdi Hassan. I think if you can really get his power game going as well, I think it's going to be a good
Yeah.
one. I think Aisha and Kapil are having a banter out there and once again.
I think
It's nice to see that.
I think at this point in time, every match we have after Asia Cup, Kapil and Aisha have a better match India Pakistan than India Pakistan in real life.
Pretty much, yeah. So it's interesting to see that
Priyanka,
happen.
I won't be giving any more hints, but maybe in the future episodes, as we proceed, you
What
might
is he
get
talking
more
about? I
and
didn't
more
get it. Sorry, like what exactly?
hints about your favorite.
Oh, okay. Let's just leave it there. There is more hints
See,
available.
it has to be really revealed slowly. It can't be
It's not a great
revealed
idea
all
even
day.
to put in this air. I mean, thank you so much. It's but the guys, the question is, will team be worried in today's performance on the field? As I mentioned, I don't think the team will be extremely worried with what they saw today because of two reasons. India weren't really competing. India were there to play a match, just like how they wanted to play a match. On the other end of things, India wouldn't even be shaken at all. For them, it was just another day out there in the park. Rather, India will be slightly upset about the fact that, okay, you know what, we had to spend 100 overs on the field. Other than that, there's nothing much India will be worried about. So that's one factor India will be slightly worried about. India would want some of their players to get recovery. But remember, Bumrah did not play, Kuldeep did not play, Siraj did not play, Virat Kohli, Hardik Pandya. That's your core. That's your literal core. So if you don't have these many players, you won't be really worried. And yeah, especially in today's game, you would have seen a lesser total if India had a better bowling. I'm not talking about the batting yet, but definitely with the bowling, India would have possibly given them 25, 30 runs less. That would have been the match today. I'm not saying Bangladesh wouldn't have scored 230 or 200 above, but with the bat, anything could have happened. I mean, just one a couple of changes. I still think with Virat or not, maybe would have changed a little more comfortably. But yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. With Virat, it's a big deal,
Yeah.
especially in cases like this. So that is what it is. Abel यहाँ मॉडलिंग कर रहा है कि यार तो मैं मॉडलिंग कहाँ कर रहा हूँ मैं बस यहाँ बैठा हूँ मतलब मैं बस क्रिकेट की बातें कर रहा हूँ आप लोगों से कपिल से और या प्रियंका से तो सलोनी से क्रिकेट का सवाल पूछिए क्रिकेट का बात ही करेंगे और कुछ सवाल लेने का मन भी नहीं है वही बात है तो कमिंग बैक टू द होल थिंग for India against Sri Lanka, I think we'll be doing a preview tomorrow and before the game. So
Yeah.
that's one thing which I can tell you. So Asia Cup final is massive, guys. Obviously, there's no two ways about it. It's a massive game. It's the first multinational final after a long time for India,
Yeah.
especially in 50 overs format. Last time we played a multinational final was in Asia Cup once again. So in 50 overs, and it's India Sri Lanka big game. Last time India and Sri Lanka met in Asia Cup final it was in 2010, which India won, and so it's 3-2, which India is leading in the Asia Cup finals uh, against Sri Lanka, I think, 3-2 or 4-2. I'm not sure. It's somewhere around that level. But either way, whoever if Sri Lanka wins it, they're gonna make it 7-all against Indian Asia Cup triumphs. So that's another thing. तो इंग्लिश ही बोल हाँ सही है ठीक है इंग्लिश ही बोलता हूँ so that is better so on the other end of things I think for Sri Lanka as well they will be feeling much more confident after what we saw against Pakistan
Yeah.
that is one factor but yeah let's be
I
honest
think if there's one thing that Indian management will be worried about, from what Kapil asked earlier, is that India is now seemingly getting stuck against left arm spinners quite a lot. We're seeing this trend now that left arm spinners are troubling India a lot, and we've seen that with Velalge. I think we've seen that Shakib has done it so many times against us. He took a fifer, I think, in that Bangladesh India series as well. So he's been troubling us for a long time with his bowling. And I mean, left arm spinners have been an issue for Indian batters, not just the ones who played today, but also some of the better batters who were rested. So that is a major factor that India has to work on. But aside from that, yeah, I think they'll not have any more worries. Spin trap being used against India is the only issue that I would think that management has right now.
don't think the bench strength is tested on no result match. Otherwise, had they been given under more pressure, they would have gone completely lost. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it's fine. The bench strength is tested, out of which two of the players are not even part of the World Cup squad. For me, the only worry is Surya Kumar Yadav's form because I have not. He's played 27 ODIs and he's averaging 24, and that's the longest rope I've seen anybody get and have been performing this mediocre. If it was any other cricketer except for Surya Kumar Yadav, he would have not even been selected to any of the squad. Leave the World Cup squad alone. He would have not made it to the one day squad for the rest of his career for sure. Now that is
Hmm.
where I feel someone like a Sanju Samson is robbed. But remember, Surya Kumar Yadav is not an all-rounder to justify his spot in the 11. Or you can say, okay, Surya Kumar Yadav balls as well, so that's the reason why he's gotten that nod ahead of Sanju Samson. But on the other end of the side, when you talk about Surya Kumar Yadav, his T20 performance has been prolific, but you have judged Sanju Samson on T20 record and Surya Kumar Yadav on T20 record. That's the worst thing you can do. Sanju
Yeah.
Samson got dropped out of the World Cup squad because of his T20 record, and Surya Kumar Yadav got selected in the World Cup squad because of T20 record. I still believe Surya Kumar Yadav is such a good player. His numbers don't really suggest the kind of player he can be on a given day, but
But
it's unfair on the other players. That's all what I'm trying to say.
exactly, exactly. And I think the kind of role you're looking Surya Kumar Yadav to play is at this point in time is going to be I would say a finisher who can also save India from the kind of situation that he arrived today, right?
Yeah,
Now I just felt the kind of form he's in when it comes to one day, he is not capable of it at this point in time. I'm not saying he's not capable of it at all. High potential player, he could have done it if India he was in a good form. But Sanju, on the other hand, has been in good form. I think today he was a lot more capable to save us from this situation. This is not to say that he would have also played a rash shot and gotten out, but I think he would have caused a little bit of damage before he got
yeah.
out. And I kind of agree with what Kapil is saying right now in the comments. Don't want to say it, but I kind of feel like there is MI color to the blue of India at this point in time. Slight, if
Yeah,
not a
today's
lot.
India's middle order did look like Emma's middle order rather.
Yeah.
Ishan Kishan, Surya Kumar Yadav, Tilak Verma, Rohit Sharma. So that did look like four of your seven batters are from MI. So that
And they
kind of
all
did.
did
And
perform like
also
how
for
MI
me,
has been performing.
another thing is Tilak Verma is also rushed into this 11. That's also pretty undeserving in my opinion. I know, to be
No,
very
I can
fair, yeah,
understand
I
in
can
many ways
understand.
Abel why he's being rushed
Yeah,
in because
he
you
can
want a
ball a
mid-order
little bit,
batter who can bat, who can
whatnot.
ball.
But to be very fair, uh, if I was a selector, I would not have really picked Tilak Verma for any major tournament. Maybe post the World Cup, I would have
Yeah,
really looked
even I
at Tilak
would.
Verma, but not now. So that's
Yeah, I
again
mean,
taking an opportunity out of someone else.
are you
Yeah, I
going
know
to be
we're looking at
playing him
all
in the
rounder.
World Cup? No. So obviously it means there's no need to rush him right now, right? Like you're saying, you're not going to be playing in the World Cup. He's nowhere near in the squad. Then there was no need to select him. And most likely, I understand why he's being rushed for because India's not gotten a top order bat who can ball since Yuvraj Singh. I think, and that it's been a long drought for us. And as I said, a batter who can ball is a huge asset to any team. So I understand why he's being rushed, but you have rightly said that he shouldn't be playing at least so close to the World Cup. There's no point at this
Absolutely,
point in time.
absolutely. So that's where the confusion really begins as well. But as of now, I think India wouldn't be really worried about this loss. We can really shake it off and put it in the bin. And India will be looking at the game day after tomorrow, which is few hours from now. We are going to be playing day after tomorrow against Sri Lanka in a big final with a full house of Ketarama, which is Premadasa Stadium once again. And that is where the chips are going to be. That's where all the money is going to be. All the eyeballs are going to be towards that game. Interesting to see what the surface is going to be like and the weather around. If it is going to stay like today, it's going to be always good to chase. It's always going to be better to bat first and not chase at all in this kind of surface. Big worry is Jadeja is, yeah, that's what we were talking about
We
as well.
spoke about it, yeah.
Really disappointed about. We did discuss about that in length as well. Why Jadeja is not performing with the bat, but we'll put that behind and we'll focus on what is in our hand, which is to really play the final. If Jadeja can come in to bat with in the final, I think that'll be good enough. And I still think Jadeja is a good enough player to come and score in these big games. He's got so much of potential with the bat, and he's been playing some bad shots. He's not looking
Hmm.
like he's out of form. He's been playing some poor shots, which are tailender is playing. And I've always noticed one thing about Jadeja: the position you give him, he plays according to that. You put him at number five, he'll bat like a number five. You bat him at number eight, he'll bat like a number eight. You bat him at number seven, he sometimes bats like a number seven, which is his batting gets better with the better position you give him. The lower he comes, the worse he bats. So that's one thing about Ravindra Jadeja, and I'd really like him to put that behind and play well for India. The only time he really came and played well, batting at number eight was a World Cup semi-final against New Zealand. And then I really can't recall a number eight knock where he has really come in and shown what he can do. But yeah, at this point, Akshar is a better batter in terms of what he's doing. But I really want Jadeja to perform well. Then if Akshar and Jadeja is playing 111, then you have so much of batting depth. Then that's a crazy batting depth which India has. And today also India had a good day of batting depth till number nine. But yeah, you would want a number eight also to start scoring a little bit more runs. Which is Shardul Thakur's not giving me any confidence at this point. Um, I would really want him to score runs. If
He
not,
got out on again. I mean, what was that? I thought he
Shardul
played.
gets out in the ways he picks up his wickets as well. In the most weird
Yes,
of ways. So that's Shardul Thakur. He's
yes,
a
that's the
complete
best way to
batsman.
say it. I
So
mean,
that's how it is. He gets those
how do you say it?
cheeky, weird
जैसा
wickets
भगवान
out of
देता है
nowhere.
वैसा भगवान लेता है.
Yeah, that's what. He picks up wickets. He's like a Robin Hood. He takes it and he gives it back. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
Shardul
yeah.
Thakur for you. Have a good time, all of you. See you all very soon. Thanks for joining a lot of people. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel and like the stream as well. So it helps us with our algos and we can keep reaching out to more people. Let's build a huge community. That really helps us from our end. And I hope you all understand. And we are here to we are here to take all your questions. We want to build like a more family environment. We don't want, we want to be catering to every one of you. We want to listen to every question and, really build a community. That's our whole point. And see you all very soon. Take care and bye bye.
Bye bye.